Hello and welcome back to Deadly Effigy. I'm Luke Logau. Today we're going to step outside our comfort zone. I'm going to show you how to do that with this little painting here. So I'm just starting off with a bit of ultramarine blue and some asphaltum mixed in to kind of tone it down a little bit. And I figured the best way for me to get out of my comfort zone is to start with a color I usually don't start with. I usually start with burnt umber or like a raw sienna, asphaltum even, and I like the way that looks. That's why I start that way. But I've noticed lately a lot of my paintings are looking quite brownish, yellowish. And like I said, I like the look of that, but I need to step outside my comfort zone because I can do more than that, you know. I know. I believe in myself. So, starting with blue here, and it's a dark color of blue, but it's a thin layer of blue, so I can add more to it and kind of get my darkest areas figured out. Now, some may ask, why? Why push yourself outside your own comfort zone? And to that I say, because for me, it helps prevent stagnation, boredom, art block, and even burnout. And I really believe it's the only way to grow as an artist. Plus, it's exciting. Because when you're trying something you've never tried before, you just might accidentally create something no one has ever seen before. And I think most artists would be interested in that. So yeah, the idea for this one is just a couple characters. I know that they're going to be standing in kind of a foggy atmosphere, which is another thing that I need to address, because I tend to put my characters in just kind of a foggy, dusty, cloudy areas where that way I don't have to paint a background. And it's not that I can't paint backgrounds, it's that, to me, well, my excuse has been that I don't, they're not the focal point. The background isn't the focal point of the painting, so it shouldn't matter as much. But I'd like to branch out a little bit more, and I do a little bit of that in this painting. Nice little nubby hand here, getting the early sketch of that in right now, and I just kind of putting in some indication of where I think maybe his kind of goofy hair can go. Now it's dried. This is the next morning. Dried a little bit anyway. It's not going to scrub right off. So I'm adding in some color, and I'm starting pretty vibrantly, as you can see. And this ear, I don't really do a whole lot more to this ear. That came out kind of exactly how I wanted it right when I did it. It's just a cadmium red with some French ultramarine, a bit of raw umber, and a bit of asphaltum to get these colors, and some titanium white. I didn't use any zinc white in this one because I knew I was going to end up using a lot of titanium white for the fog. There's some burnt umber in here now too. Just a tad. Trying to stay away from brown. Remember, get out of that comfort zone. Painting the forehead here. Don't want to get it too wrinkly because when I make a forehead too wrinkly, it just looks ridiculous, you know? It just looks way too ridiculous. Can't have too wrinkly of a forehead. Also, remember that the human eye, I don't know if this guy's human or not, but the whites aren't actually white. So I usually tend to go toward a yellowish, creamy kind of white color. Remember, foreheads that are too wrinkly just look ridiculous. Anyway, upper lip now. It was interesting with this one, with the color, making most of my form decisions with color. I tend to be a reductive painter in that I take away paint to add highlights like I'm doing right here on the upper lip, but I was kind of jumping back and forth between that and putting more titanium white in and just trying to find a balance with that. I really do like the way that the reductive highlights look because it almost gives it like a sharp sheen, like almost metallic kind of sheen to it. Time to clean up this palette. I'm just testing out a couple of those colors there. That cad red is still good, so I'm going to use that. Just scrape away. This is just a picture frame. Gotta have a fresh palette for this massive chin, which I'm also introducing a few more colors here. I've got a bit of raw sienna and some yellow ochre, and I'm pretty sure I threw a little bit of alizarin crimson in there too. Just a tad for some of those dark, yeah, right in there. I mixed up a dark purple. This chin kind of came right together pretty quickly. Give me a big surface of flesh to paint and I can get it done pretty quick. Work on these horrendous teeth. I usually start with the gums because that kind of frames the tooth and also helps me to determine exactly how I'm going to shape these teeth. And now time to start on this fella. This is some raw sienna. I figured with those yellowy brownish teeth I better do kind of a color callback there. A little bit of color balance theory for you. And trying to introduce some more colors here too with that kind of greenish, bluish tint on one side, a little red by the nose. And this guy is going to be more in the fog than the guy who's in the foreground there. So I knew that I needed the highlights to be a little more intense. Adding some of those blues in. This is why I love oil paint. Like, you can just take some blue and put it on and it works somehow. It's like magic. But I did have a bit of trouble with this guy. I couldn't figure out exactly why I wasn't liking the way the nose was sitting. I realized later that I should add a nostril to the other side of the nose. And I do that here in a second, but at first I was like, I'm just going to put the fog around him now and hopefully everything will sort itself out. Moving on to this hand here, I thought, again, if I'm going to step outside my comfort zone, let's see what happens when I start adding different colors all together to this character. So I made his hand kind of this swampy green. Again, this is a color I mixed up. It's raw sienna, French ultramarine, and a touch of asphaltum, and also a touch of Coeruleum blue, which is that light blue at the bottom of the chin there that you can see. And I thought there's something missing here in the bottom right, so let's get a little crazy and really step outside that comfort zone and just add in like mostly color. I don't know how to explain it. You're looking at it. Just painting a hand in color with just a few highlights, like not a lot of detail, kind of like it's out of focus almost, but there's a weird kind of effect that happens sometimes in fog where you can see things are kind of the same value, but you can see color. That's kind of what I was going with. This is out of focus, even though I tried to focus the camera several times. Good thing it was just a short shot. And onto that background that I was talking about. I thought there could be like kind of mountain peaks or like sand dune kind of things, or just some odd terrain poking up out of the fog here. I sure hope this video helped you get a little more confident in trying something new, trying something you've never tried before, because as I said, you might just discover a whole new style, and you never know until you try. If you have any ideas on what kind of background would be good for one of my paintings, feel free to leave it in the comments. Always looking for ideas. And it is nearly time to sign this one. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Share it with your friends, share it with your enemies. Trust me, if you liked this, your enemy is probably gonna hate it. Also, I have a Patreon. If you'd like to support me in trying to make this YouTube channel as good as I possibly can, check out my Patreon. It's in the description. And here is my Patreon shout out to my one Patreon member. Thank you very much, sir. If any of you saw the scarecrow painting that I did on Halloween, that was his idea. That's right, if you join the Patreon, you can make suggestions, and I might even use your suggestion. Here's the finished piece, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and have an awesome week.